All right, so while we're waiting for the soloing stitches video to upload, someone had a question about weapon gear progression for the stamina intellect paladin playstyle when you're leveling your paladin either in hardcore or in retail. And I looked into it, and it's actually a hilariously short list of items. Like it's basically like Searing Blade. All right. So you start off with Searing Blade. Super fast, 2.5 speed weapon. You watch just about any early video of me doing anything with the Auction House Andy. I guess it's turning into a series. Auction House Andy series. You'll see me using Searing Blade. Amazing spell proc. It's got everything. It's got everything you want in any weapon. Speed. It's very quick. Got a weapon on proc chance. Really good stuff. After that, however, there's almost nothing for quite a bit of time. Like the best thing I possibly found was like this Black Knight off the auction house. Um, there isn't even all that good of weapons in like dungeons or anything like that. Everything's kind of slow, like or has really bad proc on hits. Basically, just want the fastest one-handed weapon that you can possibly find, or the fastest two-handed weapon that you can possibly find. The Black Knight off the auction house was pretty much the best thing I get my hands on. But really, from level 26 onwards, basically just use whatever. But then you get level 29. Boop. And level 29, by far the best weapon for you is Crowd Manual Pummeler, or Manual Crowd Pummeler. Why? It's got a 2-second speed, it's a two-hander, so it'll have a 20% spell power ratio. It's pumping out the same spell power ratio as basically a one-hander at 1.5-second speed, which is nuts. It has a on-use effect, but it only has 3 charges, so if for some reason in the open world you decide that you need to do the most DPS that you can possibly do, Crowd Manual Pummeler is actually such a good, terrifying weapon that even at level 60, the weapon is actually legit. I am not joking. As long as you're using its activation, the weapon is 100% legit. So level 29, Crowd Manual Pummeler. If you're doing hardcore, this is an important thing to note. Let's say you're a psychopath and you decide that you're going to go into Gnomergon at level 29 and try to get yourself a Crowd Manual Pummeler. Okay, cool. That is perfectly fine. You can go into Gnomergon around about level 30-ish and do every single boss in that dungeon, no problem, with the exception of the final boss. Do not try the last boss on hardcore in Gnomergon unless you're with a super Chad crew and you're like healing with them and they really know what they're doing. And here's how you're going to be able to tell if they know what the hell they're doing. So on the path on the way to get to the final boss in Gnomergon, there's like these there's like a high ground area with mobs and there's like a low ground area with the mobs. And the aggro in there is notorious for getting people killed. Okay. You actually have to clear, if you want to go to the final boss, you actually have to clear up, I would highly suggest, clearing up and down and hardcore simultaneously. So you pull the guys on the low ground, you pull the guys on the high ground. You pull the guys on the low ground, you pull the guys on the high ground. Just to absolutely make sure that you prevent any possibility of a wipe in there. Super terrifying. I think the mobs are also like level 34. You could not pay me on hardcore classic WoW to go anywhere near the final boss in Gnomergon. So literally what happens is if you're in Gnomergon and you're with like a group of like level 30s or like level 31s or something in hardcore, maybe there's a level 34 in there, and they advise that we're not going to pull both high and low on our way to the final boss, just hearth the fuck out. Don't even think about it. Just be like, nope, and just get the fuck out of there. You got your Crowd Manual Pummeler, or you've done the boss already. Just leave, because that is when you know you're not dealing with a crew that is going to survive. So yeah, definitely Crowd Manual Pummeler is the way to go. And Crowd Manual Pummeler is actually your best weapon, all the way to Flurry Axe. It's kind of ridiculous, but at level 33. Nightly longswords come online. You can find these all over the auction house. So the nightly longsword is basically what I use in almost all my videos at this point. It's a 1.5 speed weapon, random enchant. Just pick one up off the auction house and you're good to go. There is not a better. The only weapon that is better than Knightly Longsword for a million years is Crowd Manual Pummeler. And the only reason why Crowd Manual Pummeler is better is because it has like a 29 DPS, right? But it's two-handed versus like, sword and board. So your best one-hander is Knightly Longsword. Your best two-hander is Crowd Manual Pummeler, even without the activation effect. This is Auction House Andy series, so I don't have a Crowd Manual Pummeler yet, but Crowd Manual Pummeler, actually absolutely ridiculous. And then, oh boy, level 30, 42. All right, so here's what's going to end up making the video super short. Is Mr. Flurry Axe right here. Okay. So, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Flurry Axe is the highest DPSing one-handed weapon in the game for Paladin. Period. We're talking even when you compare it to, let me go all the way to 60. So, even if you compare Flurry Axe to the best one-handed weapon in the entire game, which is Hungering Cold. So you'll see Hungering Cold here, 73 DPS, Nax weapon, 14 stamina, bonus to sword skills. It comes with 140 armor, which is amazing. A 1.5 second speed. Did I say that already? This weapon is insane. This weapon is nuts for Paladin. This weapon is nuts for any class. This weapon is an absolute monster. And then you go and you compare it to Flurry Axe. And Flurry Axe, by comparison, basically it only does 35 DPS. It does less than half the DPS of Hungering Cold. It has no stats on it whatsoever. It doesn't have sword skill on it. They're the same weapon speed. What the fuck? Well, the proc on Flurry Axe is so ridiculous that it effectively makes this weapon like a 1.3 weapon. And what that means is that when you do the math on it, the weapon is literally this weapon right here. This weapon is the highest DPSing one-handed weapon, if we compare it to Hungering Cold. At certain armor value ratios, Hungering Cold does better, but then after a certain point... So it's I think it's over, if your target has over 44% armor, Flurry Axe is objectively better. If your target is below 40% armor, Flurry Axe is not as good as Hungering Cold, but it's not far off. You can see where we're going here. What the hell am I trying to say? Right, but then once you get above certain spell power ratios, Flurry Axe just becomes objectively better. So, for example, when I do the math on Flurry Axe, and I'm like, okay, we have a 330-ish spell power Paladin. We're judging Crusader with the Libram of Fervor, and we have max rank Crusader here, which you can already see is almost 200 spell power. So if I assume that I've got around about 500 spell power, holy spell power, so it's 310-ish plus Seal of the Crusader. That's where I get these figures of, okay, above 44% armor, Flurry Axe is better, and below 44% armor, Hungering Cold is better. But then if you start going up above that in spell power, then Flurry Axe just becomes better. So what all this basically means is that once you get a Flurry Axe, you can buy one off the auction house. Again, if it's hardcore, it might be a super hard weapon to find. But once you get Flurry Axe, it's basically the best weapon in the entire game. And I'm not really sure what other weapon you would go for other than a Flurry Axe. If you didn't have a Flurry Axe, you just have to follow the rules. Just try to find the fastest weapon possible. And the sad truth is, Crowd Manual Pummeler is still going to be amazing. Anyways. Yeah, I just don't know what to tell you. And then I looked into it. It's okay, so once Flurry Axe starts, basically you get a new rank of Seal the Crusader every 10 levels. So you get one at level 32, level 42, level 52 is when you get your max rank Seal of the Crusader, which is your primary source of spell power. But every time Flurry Axe starts to fall off, there are other factors that just end up making it better. So, for example, you can get a Flurry Axe at level 42. Oh, right. The other weapon that's decent if you don't have a Flurry Axe, I think, is like a Thrash Blade. Right? Thrash Blade. Yeah, you get it from a quest. Nah, that's that's not half bad though, honestly. Yeah, so you pick up a Thrash Blade because you get the extra attack on hit. AoE tanking comes online at level 42, and AoE tanking has completely different rules for weapon progression, if that makes any sense. What am I trying to say here? Right, so when you're AoE tanking, you want to try to use like the fastest weapon possible. See if I can demonstrate here in a second. I want to find something a little that's not going to die anytime soon. That might be nice. I am in the field. Let me make sure I don't die to some random bullshit. Alright, so I actually want to use up some mana here. Is that rank 1 or max rank? I think it's max rank. Yeah, we're good. Alright, let's look at the mana regeneration of Flurry Axe. Now, you might think Reckoning would help. Thrash Blade's not bad, because if you're doing the AoE taking thing, you're going to get a lot of Reckoning charges, right? Which is pretty good. But if you actually playtest AoE tanking at all, what you'll begin to notice is you really want... you super actually want the fastest one-handed weapon possible. So again, Flurry Axe for AoE tanking is the best weapon for AoE tanking. Period. Possibly Edward the Odd is the only one that I would even remotely consider being better. But let's just look at the mana regeneration pullback off of a Flurry Axe here while I talk. What else do we got going on here? Am I missing anything? I wanted to say something. Oh, all right. I was going to compare it to Edward the Odd. You don't get Edward the Odd until level 57. And Flurry Axe, with its extra attacks, its insane attack speed, the amount of mana pullback is kind of intense and insane. Thrash Blade's not so bad with the Reckoning charges, but you'll find that when you're AoE tanking, what you really want is you want the mob to die slowly. Like, or at the very least, you want them to, you want basically the mob you're attacking to die as slowly as possible, if that makes any sense. I don't really have much to compare it to. If I was leveling, what weapons to use? Mugga Hurt's not the worst thing in the world. 1.7 speed, pretty easy to pick up on Auction House. Has a slow effect. I'm not really sure what you'd be using the slow effect for. But anyways, let me show the DPS real fast of Flurry Axe. Make sure I'm not doing anything insane here. I suppose I could put on a Judgment Breastplate. Okay. Alright, so let's just look at the damage here. So this is rank 3, Seal the Crusader. I've said this before many times, but we can see the DPS. So as you can see, we're doing like 93. If I was using a trinket, it would go up to like 125. And this is just one of the many reasons why this stupid thing, and the Judgment's not bad either. It does about 300 damage on the Judgment. That was a low roll. So if I use the max rank seal by comparison... Oh, this is always fun to show. Okay, so let me show... so this is 3 at spell power ratio without. And then we switch over to the max rank. So this is max rank. You can see it does less, right? So, combat log. So you can see max rank was doing about 53, and then rank 3 was doing only 50, right? So it went down. But watch this real fast. Okay, so now we're going to do max rank with even more spell power ratio. That was not helpful. So now you can see max rank does 69 about, right? Combat log. Yeah, max rank is doing 69. And as we saw before, our rank 3 does 93. And that, again, one has a 10% spell power ratio, the other one has a 15% spell power ratio. That's why we're using rank 3. So I looked into it, and there just aren't any better weapons than there just really aren't any better weapons than... Damn, what am I trying to say? There aren't really any better weapons than Flurry Axe when you're leveling. And the other rule behind that, if you don't have a Flurry Axe, would be to find the fastest one-handed weapon that you possibly can. And once you start looking for the quote-unquote fastest one-handed weapon that you possibly can, you begin to realize that your knightly longsword, even though it's horribly outdated and it doesn't really do much damage, is still a 1.5 speed weapon. So it's not like you're gonna outgrow the thing or anything. Like it's still good. Like level 42, level 43, level 44, level 45, your knightly longsword is still really good. Personally, what I would advise is you just mess around with it, right? So you have a knightly longsword, and then you go out of your way to get something like there's no way. Yeah, okay. Keep going down. Brain Hacker, Iron Foe, got it. Keep scrolling down. Scrolling down. Black Rock Slicer, keep scrolling down. Anger Forged, what? Keep scrolling down. You can mess around with it, right? Like if you find a really fast one-handed weapon, then you can replace your knightly longsword. But I would highly suggest whatever you get as a weapon upgrade, just comparing it to your level 33 knightly. Winter Spring? Level. But that's like really high level. 1.6 might be all right. Yeah, I would just compare it to your knightly longsword for a bit and see which one you like better. And you'll begin to see real quickly what I mean by once you start doing the AoE tanking thing, it literally doesn't matter what weapon you're using. You just want to be using the fastest one-handed weapon possible, which Blade is definitely not the fastest one-handed weapon possible. Blade is really nice with Reckoning though. But honestly, there just isn't a good weapon besides either knightly longsword or damn it, what is it? Flurry Axe. Yeah. So yeah, I keep looking. I'm not finding anything. I don't know what to tell you. Everything is nice and slow and slow and slow and slow. Ooh. Rune. One-handed, 1.6 speed weapon, does do more DPS. Rune Longsword might be a really good upgrade to your knightly longsword. Yeah, I could definitely see that. What's its required level? Requires level 46. So we're replacing knightly longsword at level 46. All right, cool. Anyways, yeah, just keep tinkering with it. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna end the video here and Day of Soul, boys. Yeah, knightly longsword. It's just knightly longsword. Crowd manual pummeler is also ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Kang the Decapitator. A really good weapon that you'll never get your hands on is Brain Hacker. Brain Hacker might be the best two-handed sword for my style of Paladin play in Phase 1. And I'm not joking. I'm talking like I have access to Molten Core gear and all that stuff. And this stupid little level 55 auction house epic that sells dirt cheap because nobody wants a 2.1 speed two-handed axe with a proc on hit might actually be a thing. And it might be such a thing, so much so that I'm actually carrying one around for playtesting. I got another Flurry Axe for Test Pally. I picked one up pretty cheap. Just in case I want to try some other stuff with our Test Pally boy. I was thinking maybe I would go try to kill Vile Priestess Hex. You know, that stupid bitch that doesn't die in the Netherlands. Let's see, where is she at? Hinterlands. Yeah, in this area, you know the one I'm talking about? The one that hexes you and then hexes you and then heals herself and hexes you again. And she's got, like, more hit points than Stitches had. So that could be interesting. Where's my Brain Hacker? Yeah, so I picked up a Brain Hacker on the cheap. I really want to go test it out. I might actually go do that, like, right now. Or did I want to save it for Test Pally? Like, I really don't know. But yeah, like Phase 1, man, Brain Hacker might be the way to go. People tell me that the damage is physical and therefore is subject to armor, like the proc on hit, or the proc chance, right? In the past, Drakova did talk about how Brain Hacker was fucking amazing. So I guess now I'm just catching on. But when I get a chance, I'll have to go make a video. My next video, I'm going to go try to make... We're going to take Test Pally into Nomergon, so he's officially not going to be an Auction House... I'll keep him Auction House Andy, but he's not going to be an Auction House Andy Paladin anymore. But we'll take him into Nomergon, and and I can show you how just doing the punch card quest line. You don't even need the quest. Just do the punch card things inside Gnomeregan, and you'll get Major Recombobulator Array. You'll get Discombobulator Array. You'll get all the good stuff. So anyways, day is full, boys.